Hey y'all, my name is Heron and I am an artist and a writer. And today I'd like to talk to you about something which there are many different words to describe. Some people call it manifesting. Sometimes religious folk will say, ask and ye shall receive. And there's a lot of different terms, but basically what we're talking about today is the concept of visualizing something that is important to you, something that you want, and sort of willing it into being, making it more likely to happen in your life. And I'd like to talk about why I, as somebody with a scientific and logical background, do sort of believe in this concept and why I think it's still relevant to us today. So I think the reason why people think of manifesting as this sort of strange, quasi-religious, nonsensical concept is because it has religious origins. Theologists originally used the concept of manifesting to mean revealing something unknown or secret or unseen about God, right? And later spiritualists began using this word to describe seeing ghosts, making things that are unseen to be seen. So because of this relationship with religion, with ghosts, people think it's not a very realistic concept. In the modern era, manifesting usually means to will something into existence, right? You want a job, you want to find romance, you want to make more money, and you think about it really hard and you think about it every day until eventually you make it appear in reality. So sometimes I don't really understand why people have such a strong negative opinion on this because I think it sounds kind of scientific, honestly. I think the logical idea that thinking really hard about something you want makes you more likely to achieve that thing, it makes a lot of sense to me. So to put this in terms of sort of pure logic, if we say that manifesting is to believe that if you think a lot about something, it is more likely to happen, then in order to disprove that, we would need to prove that thinking less about something, that not thinking at all about something you want, makes it at least equally likely to happen, if not more so. And that doesn't sound right, right? Just off the cuff, why would that be the reality? If you never think about dating, never go on dates, are you more likely to get married? If you never think about a job that you want, is somebody just going to hand it to you, right? It's possible, but it seems a lot less likely. And so I think that just intuitively, from a logical standpoint, it makes sense for us to use this skill. It makes sense for us to try to visualize the things that we want in the hopes that they will come true. But I think the second part of this, which is maybe more challenging, is to take away the spiritual meaning, this sort of religious context, this idea that, if we ask really, really hard, it's more likely to happen, and phrase it a different way. So I like to rephrase this concept, and rather than say, ask and you shall receive, I prefer to say, don't ask and you probably won't receive. And I think anybody who's been in a relationship or had a close friendship understands this to some extent, that you've been in a position where you're getting increasingly frustrated with this other person and you're thinking, why won't they give me the things that I want? Why won't they give me the attention or the validation or, the certain response that I'm looking for? And eventually we hopefully grow and mature and realize, well, I didn't ask them to do that. And it's not very realistic to expect your partner to know all of the things that you want and need intuitively. You have to tell them what those things are. You have to ask. So I think don't ask and you won't receive is a little difficult to swallow because I think a lot of us have this problem where asking sounds so scary and so difficult and complicated that it's easier to create these fantasies in our heads where we tell ourselves that no, the right person will come along and I won't have to ask. You know, if I wait and wait and wait for the things that I want, then eventually somebody will just hand them to me. And that's almost never the case. But because every now and then it is, because every now and then we'll meet somebody who comes along who's very intuitive or very similar to us and automatically realizes what we need without being asked. I think a lot of us want more and more of that, and that's not a sustainable way to live our lives. If you don't ask, you probably won't receive is a large shift from the norm, I think, because oftentimes we we get very insecure when we don't receive the things that we want without asking. And maybe we look at somebody else and say, well, that person's very attractive and they're in a relationship and I'm not in a relationship. So it's probably because I'm unattractive. And we sort of create these judgments of ourselves that say, if I were this and that and the other thing, I would have these things that other people have. And you don't see, generally speaking, that attractive people going out and asking people on dates and being rejected and being rejected dozens and hundreds of times until they meet the right person. All you see is the end result in other people's lives. And it's easy to think that they didn't have to ask for the things they wanted, so why should I? Or even they don't have to ask for the things they wanted. I haven't seen them have to ask for the things they wanted. Therefore, asking for the things you want is not how to get them. This type of fear and doubt can be so paralyzing, and it becomes very emotionally draining and taxing to keep asking for the things that we want, even in the face of rejection, and to believe deep down that it is not some failure of mine that is the reason that I keep failing at this task. It is just a task I need to keep trying harder and harder to succeed at. Nothing in life is guaranteed. I am coming to you from a position of a multitude of failures in my life. I failed in my career as a programmer. I failed in so many relationships and friendships. I have failed in so many different aspects of my life many, many times over. But then I got back up and tried again. And that's all that anybody can possibly ask of you. The goal in life is not to succeed only and never fail. Life is full of failures, so many more failures than successes. And the important thing is that we keep trying. If you don't ask for the things that you want, you probably won't get them. But sometimes we need to ask in different ways, right? Sometimes we need to ask a different person or a different company or a different group. And sometimes the things that we ask for change over time as we learn and grow and find the things that are not meant for us and set different goals. And that's okay too. Keep visualizing the things that you want in your head and keep trying to manifest those things, but don't be afraid of initial failures. If it takes 1,000 failures to get to that success, is it worth it to you? That's something you need to decide. For this reason, I think that tolerating failures is very often the biggest, most important skill that we need to learn in order to manifest our dreams and goals. So I hope that you've learned something from this today. Maybe it has motivated or inspired you to start visualizing that future that you want in your head. Thank you for taking the time to sit with me. I hope you found this motivating. Maybe you will go out today and visualize the future that you want And maybe you'll even be brave enough to ask for it. As always, take care, y'all. Stay safe. I hope you have a good day. I'll see you in the next one.